Plymouth, Massachusetts, a town of history, culture, opportunity, and folklore. Arising from a group of pilgrims aboard the Mayflower, Plymouth has grown into a community of over 55,000 people. But with this acquired growth and development of Plymouth, a problem has emerged, and this particular problem is affecting the local environment. Plymouth is made up of over 134 square miles of land, making it one of the largest towns in Massachusetts. In a matter of only 100 years, Plymouth's population has skyrocketed from 12,000 to 58,000. This rapid increase in population was mainly due to the productive industrialization in the early 20th century and speedy growth and development in the late 20th century as a result of more job opportunities and cheap realty prices. Most of the population growth has occurred in the western and southern sections of Plymouth. And in these areas especially, there are high occurrences of rare, threatened, and endangered species who are also populating the area. Urban development isn't the only cause for the recent deforestation in Plymouth. Excessive deforestation has occurred in the recent years as solar complexes have begun to emerge out of the forests. In a span of 10 years, a multitude of land has been flattened into sand pits to make way for massive solar farms. These farms are designed to capture energy from the sun and transfer it into electricity. This concept may sound beneficial, but when these once flourishing areas of flora and fauna are transformed into enormous land masses of sand and metallic plates, it defeats the potential benefits solar panels can do. In a recent study conducted by scientists, even though solar panels produce electricity, 4 solar panels are needed to offset the same amount of carbon dioxide produced by man as one tree. One tree also produces enough oxygen to sustain 2 humans per year, and solar panels do not produce oxygen. To take away even more benefits from solar panels, the companies that install solar farms are able to make triple the profit off of the entire process. First, they sell the cut lumber. Next, they sell the excavated sand and gravel from the site. And lastly, they take in revenue generated by the panels. Since selling lumber and sand is more profitable than solar energy at this time, solar companies have discovered a dark secret that has impacted the environment greatly. And in our own area, several solar farms have emerged more rapidly as more and more companies discover this incognito way of tripling the profit. Shifting away from solar energy, recent economic bursts have resulted in the clearing of larger portions of land in Plymouth. One of the most recognizable being Colony Place. Colony Place has generated a profitable sense of revenue and a sense of tourism for Plymouth, which is beneficial to public schools. But the complex has also paved over the once massive forest inhabiting the area. Nearby to Colony Place is the newest complex added to Plymouth, which is called Cranberry Crescent. This houses Plymouth's newest supermarket, Market Basket. It is no more than 2 miles away from Colony Place's Walmart. With over 4 major supermarkets within a 5-mile radius of Plymouth, it is questionable on why the town needs so many supermarkets that require many acres of once dense forests to be removed. Dense forests that were once home to hundreds of native species. Perhaps a less-known project in the works is the construction of a brand new Colonial Ford dealership in Plymouth. This process involves the relocation of an old Ford dealership to an area of forest and brush, which is less than a mile away from the original location. Today, this area has been cleared, flattened, and built up upon by yet another business. Using Google Maps, we can see that between the towns of Plymouth and Kingston, there are 9 dealerships in total, and that doesn't even include the future dealerships for Colony Place. With all the economic gain pouring into the pockets of profiteers, it is questionable if some people care more about preserving or profits. In the branch of transportation, Plymouth Municipal Airport is a town-owned public-use airport that has been part of the town since 1934. The airport is home to over 170 owned aircraft, most of which are single or twin engines. Over the past 82 years of the airport's life, it has expanded in size multiple times to accommodate to a steady increase in traffic. Over the time, the area of the airport has increasingly become more wide open and vast, and less of a dense and environmentally fragile forest. Perhaps one of the most notable expansions is the extension of the north and south runway of the airport in late 2015. This extended the area of open space from South Meadow Road all the way to Federal Furnace Road, at a length of over 1 mile. The expansion has removed an acre strip of wetland, along with surrounding forestry, which are home to complex ecosystems. The airport has promised to resolve this act of deforestation by recreating a man-made 3-acre strip of wetland to the west, which could accommodate for the loss, but the real question is if the local wildlife are able to adapt to this artificially created environment. With deforestation being an issue in Plymouth, especially in the recent years, we wanted to speak to the local legislature in the town and hear what their opinions on deforestation are.
Hi, I'm Melissa Origi. I'm the Plymouth Town Manager. My role in Plymouth is really to serve as the Chief Executive Officer for the community. I report to a 5-member Board of Selectmen and, of course, the public at large. I work closely with the 9 department heads, which include everything from the police and fire department to public works and finance and all our other areas. Plymouth has seen a tremendous amount of growth, and I think we will continue to see that. We project by the year 2030 we'll be about 85,000 people. We're a little over 60,000 now. Interestingly enough, when you look at our population, we have an active and larger aging population. So certainly expansion affects our natural environment in Plymouth. And what we have here in Plymouth is natural resources, both from our open space, our parks, our forestry land, as well as our water supply, which is very much in demand. I think what Plymouth has done well is to acquire open space throughout the years. It's about 26,000 acres that we have preserved in this community, and that's significant. Our Energy Committee has worked for, I think, about 2 years on solar and has now come up with a bylaw that just passed town meeting. It should go into effect shortly. I think that's going to make us more productive on both where we put solar panels and how the residents and the taxpayers react to it. It's very difficult for me to support just land clearing, particularly in some of our areas that, at least as staff, we would like to see protected. For example, I think of the woodlot. That's county-owned property that's off Camelot Drive. That is a parcel that, in my opinion, is very important for this community. It's an area of critical environmental concerns, and I'm very concerned when I think that could be developed by another governmental entity, a sister government entity, into solar fields. There are other areas of town where maybe it's more appropriate. So for me, I would like to see people be a little bit more responsible when it comes to putting up the solar fields, putting up these solar panels, and thinking about how we can put them in areas that have already been disturbed. My biggest concern with these solar panels, and I don't find anyone talking about it, even when I reach out to the other town managers, is what are we going to do with these panels once their life expectancy has expired? How are we going to get rid of those? Because it's going to be somebody's responsibility, and as far as everything I have learned, those aren't something you can just throw away easily. I think that we need strong zoning bylaws. I'll give you an example. Staff has brought forward 75-foot heights, allowing buildings to be built as high as 75 feet, and both times that has been rejected by town meeting. But in my opinion, that is something that we need to consider, because there are medical buildings and other types of businesses that bring in very good jobs that want height, not spread. So I'm a proponent and I support commercial development, but like everything I've said in this interview, I think you have to be sure that you have a balance there. Should we look at more cluster development so that we can keep more open space? And that has always been my preference.
Deforestation may be an ongoing issue in Plymouth, but we the citizens have the power to help the environment. We can think twice before removing trees in our backyard, and citizens are also able to voice their opinions to the town hall on recent projects that may cause deforestation. Solar companies could also build farms off land or invest in wind energy, but we must all realize and raise awareness that if we don't protect our forests and ecosystems, we could very well lead into a world of destruction and extinction of thousands of diverse and complex species.